Tracy Barlow is arguably one of the most poisonous characters ever to appear in a soap. With a mouth as lethal as a blade and a cruelty streak long enough to measure, countless Coronation Street locals have wished to smack the vile woman over the years. And next week, Abby Webster finally does it. Abby is currently embroiled in a messy divorce from her former partner, Kevin Webster, after ending things when she realized she couldn't remain in a marriage without love. The fact that she'd been secretly sleeping with his brother, Carl Webster, certainly didn't improve the situation. Although they stayed civil before the affair became known, their dynamic has been tense ever since. Kevin is still wrestling with the betrayal, while Abby has been hiding out with Carl at his hotel, which irritates him greatly. The reality is that Carl is far less committed to the fantasy of a perfect future with Abby than she is, and once he clocked that having her and her young son Alfie around would wreck his fling with his other woman James Bailey, he dumped them at Roy Cropper's place. Next week, after Carl pulls a romantic stunt meant to keep Abby loyal when she begins voicing concerns that he isn't content with their life, Abby ends up clashing with Kevin once more as they argue about her parenting. Later on, inside the Rovers, Abby confides in Carl about her very real insecurities regarding being a good mother. Sadly, she does this while Tracy is nearby, and Tracy responds with her usual cruelty. Viewers will recall that it was Tracy who first exposed Abby and Carl's affair, later demanding money to stay quiet. Even though Carl eventually shut her down by having her shop trashed and intimidating her father, Ken Barlow, Tracy hasn't forgotten the grudge. Tracy unleashes her venom, attacking Abby as a dreadful mom and an even more awful person. Although Abby gives her a warning, Tracy, like a predator sensing weakness, keeps spitting out insults, all delivered with her signature smug smirk. Finally pushed to breaking point, Abby fires a punch straight into Tracy's face, wiping the grin away and silencing her instantly. The unfortunate part? Kevin walks in just in time to see the blow land. Has Abby just given Kevin more leverage to use against her in their looming divorce battle? Will Tracy plot payback? And could this push Carl to distance himself even further? Coronation Street unveils devastating new Todd moments in an early release episode on ITVX. Theo's manipulation shows no sign of stopping. Tonight, Todd Grimshaw becomes even more cut off from those around him as Theo Silverton's sinister control escalates. Acting on some sneaky advice from his domineering boyfriend, Todd picks an unnecessary argument with George Shuttleworth, putting their long-standing friendship in serious danger. In the newest installment, Theo continues pulling the strings by creating chaos for Todd at work. While Todd is passed out with a hangover, Theo sabotages him by dumping all of Todd's clean white shirts back into the washing machine. When Todd eventually stirs, he panics upon discovering he has nothing suitable to wear at the funeral home. Since Shuttleworth is about to handle a major service, George is furious when Todd arrives late, dressed in completely inappropriate clothing, a blue shirt because the others were still being washed. Not wanting any more mishaps, George informs Todd that he's off duty for the rest of the day and that Christina Boyd will be taking over his role. Trying to sever another important bond in Todd's life, Theo insists that Todd shouldn't just accept George's decision and urges him to stand up for himself. Eager to impress his manipulative partner, Todd comes down hard on George the next time he sees him, but his unstable behavior throughout the day starts to drive a permanent wedge between them. This is exactly the outcome Theo intended, even if he hides it well. Abby Webster also loses patience with Todd after he directs some unusually cruel comments at her. It's becoming obvious that Todd isn't behaving like his normal self, as Theo's emotional abuse is wearing him down. But is anyone close to realizing what's happening behind closed doors? Fans can watch the full fallout when the episode airs tonight at 8 p.m. on ITV1, or they can view it early on ITVX and YouTube. Earlier this year, Coronation Street revealed that Todd and Theo's toxic relationship would be spotlighted in a special episode leading into Christmas. Producer Kate Brooks shared at the time, "We've experimented with the structure a bit to portray these stories. I've just come from watching a truly striking and powerful episode that focuses almost entirely on their relationship. It's something we've never done before. I'm not sure any show has ever told a story in this way. I've just seen it and I'm honestly stunned. I need to watch it again to properly absorb everything because it's incredibly moving and emotionally intense. David battles to keep his emotions under control in a highly charged Coronation Street moment, eventually snapping at the people closest to him. At present, David and Shona Platt are enduring overwhelming anguish after receiving the heartbreaking news that their unborn baby may not survive the pregnancy. In a harrowing episode, the loving couple saw their entire world crumble when a medical specialist informed them that their child has a tumor, a revelation that has left them utterly shaken and fearful of what the coming days might bring. Determined not to collapse under the pressure, Shona clings tightly to whatever optimism she can find and gently reminds David that, at the very least, they finally know the truth of what they are dealing with. It could be worse, she tries to reason softly, but David refuses to accept her positivity, backing away emotionally because he cannot bring himself to see any silver lining. Tension rises even higher in a preview clip for the upcoming week, where Bethany, Toya, and Nick approach the couple with cheerful enthusiasm, carrying a thoughtful baby gift. David immediately averts his eyes, unable to even look at the present, while Shona forces a polite grin as she unwraps a delicate musical mobile clearly meant to celebrate happier times. As Toya excitedly proclaims how joyous this stage of life should be, and Nick admits with a bittersweet smile that he's eagerly awaiting the baby's arrival, David abruptly loses control. With tears gathering in his eyes, he blurts out the devastating truth that the baby may not survive at all. The trio are left frozen in shock, unsure how to respond, while Shona fixes David with a sharp, wounded stare, deeply upset that he chose to reveal their private anguish in such a blunt and unexpected way. Discussing the direction of the storyline and the emotional state Shona is navigating, Julia offered further explanation. For Shona, the idea of terminating the pregnancy simply isn't on the table. In her heart, she's completely committed to the belief that the surgery is the only viable option. She's already decided they're moving forward with it. Julia elaborated with more detail. This is where a great deal of the conflict begins to ignite, because the surgical procedure being proposed is incredibly rare, extremely complex, and comes with significant risks for both Shona and the baby. It's not a decision anyone can take lightly. She continued, providing deeper insight into the couple's internal struggle. This is exactly why David's concerns start becoming louder. He wants them to think carefully, to analyze every possible outcome, and to fully understand the potential consequences, whether that means considering a termination or attempting a highly dangerous operation. Coronation Street continues to air new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. on ITV1, with early or on-demand viewing available on ITVX and YouTube for fans who want to follow the story as it unfolds.